Candace Owens is a boss. She is out there killing it. She's rising like the phoenix from the ashes of the Daily Wire, and I am here for it. Hi, my name is Margaret Mordal. Welcome to my channel, Virtue Lies in the Middle, where we discuss current topics and try to remain as balanced as possible. Today we're going to talk about and react to some clips of Candace Owens. I was never a huge fan of Candace, but I would watch some of her clips. The topics that she covered never really were super interesting to me. But then when she got fired from the Daily Wire, I was absolutely furious. I followed every little detail because your girl loves drama, and I was totally on her side. And now she's back, and she had an interview with Piers Morgan, and I listened to the whole thing. And as I was listening to it, I just thought, Candace has some really unique takes that I've never heard from anyone else. And I just thought that I would love to discuss those with you. Let's show the first clip.
A lot of people say, well, if you care this much about innocent people being killed, why didn't you say anything when 1,200 people were massacred to death? Why did that not compel you to say anything?
Well, first and foremost, Israel's a foreign country, so typically I talk about topics that have to do with America. Secondly, you're only quoting my Twitter feed. I'm also on Facebook. I'm also on Instagram. I also had a daily podcast in which I did respond. I am consistent on all matters. I do not want America involved whatsoever in anything that is happening in Israel. I don't want my dollars sent over to Israel. We should not be supporting Israel. Obviously, Thomas Massey has done a lot of work showing how it doesn't even make economic sense that we have so much debt and yet we're sending money over to support Israel. And the biggest issue, by the way, that I have with Israel in talking about them being above reproach is the fact that they are supplying the arms to murder Christians, okay? In Armenia, the oldest Christian country in the world, and yet nobody talks about that. For whatever reason, it seems to be the circumstance that when Jewish people die in Israel, it's wall-to-wall coverage. But when Christians die all over the world, nobody talks about it. Everyone wants to correlate everything to World War II. Everyone wants to talk about Adolf Hitler, and rightfully so, he was a horrific person. But nobody wants to talk about Henryk Yagoda, right? Nobody wants to talk about the Bolsheviks. Nobody wants to talk about the Christian Holocaust.
I absolutely love this take, and I think that it's one that we do not hear nearly enough. There are absolutely horrendous things going on all the time, all across the planet. There are genocides in Africa, there's the persecutions of Christians in Armenia, like Candace was talking about, and it just seems that the only thing that we're allowed to care about is whatever the mainstream media deigns to cover. So I think we all come into the world with a little care box, and we can only fit so many things into our care box. And if we try to overload it and fill it with absolutely everything that's happening, we absolutely can't. We wouldn't be able to function. We would be so overwhelmed with grief and sadness all the time that we wouldn't be able to function. So we need to choose wisely what we put into our care box. And Candace is saying that she puts the plight of Christians in Armenia into her care box before the war in Gaza. And I think that's a totally valid opinion. I mean, if you think about it, if the mainstream media decided to cover the Christians in Armenia rather than the war in Gaza, that's what we would all be caring about right now.
But it's this question about the French First Lady, Brigitte Macron, who you keep saying is a man.
This did not come from me. This came from French journalists.
And while they were working,
Brigitte Macron is suing. Let me finish the statement, Piers. Okay. While they were working on this piece, the Macrons sent their secret service to interrupt this. This is not a normal thing that you do when somebody's about to publish a lie. You would just say it's ridiculous, publish it, and we'll dispute it. They sent the secret service to intimidate these journalists. They took their phones. They held them. They wanted to know everyone who was working on the piece. And what they uncovered was absolutely fascinating. What they uncovered was the fact that Brigitte Macron, who alleges that the person that they are saying is her is actually her brother, who's never been seen and who they never produced, that Brigitte Macron lived as a man for 30 years and then transitioned at the age of 30. So he's trying to tell you this is crazy, this is wacky. Why don't you just go pursue a primary source?
Well,
I'm not the primary source. It would be very easy to dispute this. All Brigitte Macron would have to do is produce a single photo of her in the first 30 years of her life, or to go on a little walk with her brother, who she alleges that she is not.
So this is one topic of Candace that I find that I cannot fit into my care box. I do not care if Brigitte Macron is a man or not. It's just not something that I care about. But this is one of the more conspiracy theory type topics that Candace likes to talk about. And what I appreciate about this is that Candace stays consistent and logical throughout. She's obviously done her homework, the 6-page report that she keeps referencing, and she just wants a photo. That's all she keeps asking for. Just show the photo, which I think is a very logical thing to ask for. So I think that she's not just some crazy conspiracy theorist. She actually has a reason for talking about the things that she's talking about.
Let's talk about Ukraine. I don't understand why conservatives in America, a number of conservatives, not all, why so many conservatives seem so determined to let Vladimir Putin rampage his way into sovereign democratic European countries and take them, and why that would be in America's national interest. Explain.
Yeah, so it's pretty obvious that it's just a money laundering operation. It's very obvious that we have been lied to about what's been going on in that region for a very long time. Ukraine has always notoriously been a laundromat for America. And I'm sure you may recall, since you seem to be an avid follower of my tweets, where I pointed out that even the New York Times was talking about how corrupt Zelensky was just a couple of years before the war. They were describing him as a corrupt oligarch.
But that wasn't my question.
He's now suspended elections. He's shut down churches, okay? He is conscripting young Christian men to their deaths in a region where Christian men have
None of this was my question,
many
Candace.
times. I'm just not answering it quickly enough for you, Piers. So
Well,
go
why
ahead
do you
and
want
cut me off.
Putin to win?
Nobody, you are pretending that it's because we want Putin to win.
Well, that's the
truth is,
consequence of not helping Ukraine.
it's not about wanting Putin to win. It's about realizing that trying to tell us that this person is worse than this person is a nonsense. We do not support the war for a ton of reasons, because it's money laundering, because it's killing Christians, and because we don't have to.
I understand.
We don't have to.
You made it clear. So why do you want Putin?
It doesn't make you pro.
What? Well, it does.
That doesn't make you pro Putin. No, it doesn't. No,
Who
you're
do you
just
want to win the war
creating
then?
this. Pardon?
Who do you want to win the war? Ukraine or Russia?
Well, I don't really view this regional issue
So it's a
that's
war,
going on
Candace.
between
One of them's
Ukraine and
gonna
Russia
win.
as something that I need to involve myself in and be rooting one way or the other. I don't want Zelensky to win. I don't want Putin to win. I do not believe that Zelensky is less corrupt than Putin.
No one says this. You don't hear this from anyone. This is what I mean by one of Candace's really unique takes. All you ever hear is Putin bad, which he is. Putin is an awful man. But Zelensky is a scumbag too. Why are we sending our money to him? And why is Candace the only one talking about this?
Taylor Swift is over here in the UK at the moment on her Eras tour. I will be attending with my 12-year-old daughter in a couple of weeks, one of her shows. I'm a big Swiftie fan. I think she's a great role model, actually, a brilliant talent, amazing businesswoman, generating billions of dollars, conquering the world of entertainment. You think she's a toxic feminist. If you've seen what she's ever done in business, how she tries to manipulate her audiences to get out of deals and contracts, she's totally insane. She's the most toxic feminist that's ever existed. Do you stand by that?
Yes.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
You think Taylor Swift is the most toxic feminist ever?
Well, do you want to talk about what she did to Scooter Braun? Because it was pretty horrific.
I think he's awful,
know,
from my personal
You
experience.
think he's awful? And,
Awful
but
little
she
rat,
completely
from my
lied to her
experience, yeah.
fans. First off, Taylor Swift is cosplaying a 15-year-old. She's 34 years old, shrewd businesswoman. She's the same age as me. We're born in the same year. She's going to be 35.
That's
Actually,
young.
she'll be 35 in a couple of months.
You're young,
okay?
Candace.
So, yes, sure. But she's cosplaying a 15-year-old. So when Taylor Swift wants to get something done in the business world, what she does, that she jumps on Tumblr and she manipulates a bunch of 15-year-olds into believing, I wrote these songs on my floor, and Scooter Braun, the evil man, is trying to take them from me. The reality, her dad owned 15% of the company. Her dad, therefore, was aware that the business was being sold. Her dad signed the deal. If Taylor Swift wasn't the most famous woman in the entire world, she would just be wealthy, because she comes from a very good background. She didn't get into some deal where she was taken advantage of. Her dad just didn't think she was going to be as big as she was. Scooter Braun simply bought a company and inherited her masters as a result of that. Her 15-year-old fans don't understand the way that contracts work.
Well, she had the
And so
last
they went
laugh.
out
She
and
went
they
and did-
rioted,
she went
and
and
they
did new
threatened
versions
to
of
kill.
them.
Stop, I'm not done. They threatened to kill Scooter Braun and his children. He publicly pleaded with her to please tell her fans to stop. He said, come to the table, let's talk. I please tell your fans. And she didn't do it. She didn't do it because she wanted out of her contract, right? So when you get to the level that you are willing to allow children to be harmed in order to get what you want, you are not a feminist icon.
So this is another one of those super unique takes coming from Candace. Generally, people have one of three opinions about Taylor Swift. They either think that she is fabulous, a goddess, worship the ground she walks on, or they think that she is vapid and stupid and behaves like a 15-year-old girl and her music is shallow. Or the final take is pretty wild, but people think she's satanic and sold her soul to Satan. However, Candace exposes a side that you have never heard before. And again, she can back up her claims with perfectly reasonable, logical arguments. I can't really argue with her.
Who's your idea of a feminist icon in the music business?
Feminist icon. I think feminism sucks, but a woman that is someone to look after, my grandma.
No, in the music business. Who's the one?
I think Hollywood's demonic, so I don't model myself after people in Hollywood. Just my grandma and all of the stay-at-home moms who give every bit of themselves every day to their children. Those are my icons. Those are my feminist icons.
Oh my gosh. Slay Queen Candace. All I can say is this is my favorite take of all, and I love it. So there you have it, folks. Again, I love that Candace not only has these opinions that you don't really hear from anyone else, but she has the arguments to back them up, and she's not afraid to say them out loud. So I hope you had fun watching this video and maybe even learned a little something. I'll see you in the next one.